Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. This is another interview that we have with the DC tour with the DC Project ladies. I don't know if I should call them ladies or women or gals. I don't know which one's more offensive or less offensive.
I'm not offended by anything that offends other people, so
I'm thinking of starting a group calling it Poop. People offended by offended people.
Oh, I'll be a poop member.
You'll be a poop member?
I'm a poop member.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are with
the grand poop ah. Yeah, that's me.
Nice.
Yeah.
We are with Kelly Pidgeon. Kelly, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks.
Shake my hand.
That's great.
There we go. Oh, it's all official now. So Kelly is with Armed and Feminine.
Yes.
Gotta get that right.
Got it right.
Right, otherwise she'll shoot me.
Not here. I'm not legal with a gun.
Right.
It'll have to wait.
It seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
Agreed.
But anyway, so we're here with Kelly from Armed and Feminine. She has a kick-ass social media presence is probably a good way to put it, right? You put out a lot of informative videos.
Try. Yeah, it's based on education. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes there's some fun things there. Originally, I started it a few years ago at the urging of my husband. I wasn't really keen on the idea of being public, but I wanted to have a library available for my students because, you know, when you teach them, it's just so much information and overwhelming, so that if they forgot something, they could go back and say,
check it out.
how was I supposed to have my grip, or how did I rack that gun, and oh, I know, I can go back and look. So that's sort of how it started. It was just a reference library for refreshers, and then it just sort of, took on another whole life. And so we don't put out videos as much as my producer would like me to. I wear a ton of hats. And so, finding the time and the energy, or really it's the mental focus, and my husband will say, come on, let's go do a video today. And I'm like, I'm just not really in the right spot. You have to sort of be in the right spot to, put out good content and have good production. And so, we roll with what we can do, and it's been okay. It's slow. We've only got about 15,000 subscribers now, and
15,000 subscribers.
Slow, yeah. I don't know. I think it's slow, and it's weird. My top video has about 315,000 views.
Wow. What is it?
And it's with one of our local policemen.
Oh, the car stop?
It's a CCW car stop. Yeah, and so it's fairly popular, and we have some that are over 100,000. Choosing a gun for the little lady is a big one. Did one with Lori, carrying a gun chambered or not, where we time ourselves, shooting from a chambered gun or an unchambered gun, which was actually pretty cool. And then other ones get like 500. I'm like, I don't quite get it. I'm still the same person. I'm still doing the same thing. And sometimes, it's the luck of the draw, or the algorithms. We haven't quite figured out their algorithms. So whatever, we're just going to keep plugging away at it, because, we really believe in, the Second Amendment and people's right to train, and the freedom to use whatever, gun they want to train and keep themselves safe, and just keep providing a good educational platform.
Very cool. How did you get into gun stuff? All right, which one do you think we should go?
Pick a 95, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go to this one.
4 lanes across.
4 lanes across.
I'm wearing a seatbelt, thank God. Well, actually, it was just sort of by happenstance. I was fairly agnostic about guns. And I do a lot of work in my community, and I actually am part of our county's disaster team, and we go out and practice, all hours of the night to respond to, disasters. And one day the sheriff said to me, our local sheriff, I'm from a small town, everybody kind of knows everybody, and the sheriff was part of our team, and he said, Kelly, you need to get a gun to protect yourself. You do all these crazy things. And I'm like, you give me a state policeman, I'm not so sure I need that. And he said, no, you come up to my office, we'll get you your concealed carry permit. So I did that.
Yeah.
And I really didn't do much with it for the longest time. And then I just happened to mention it to a friend of mine. I said, yeah, Bob, I went up to see Bob and I got my permit. And he's like, well, let me take you out to the range. We've got tons of guns. And so I did. I went with them, and they presented a pile of guns in front of me. And I was like, ooh, thought I peed a little bit. There was a whole lot of guns. I had never seen, piles of handguns before. And,
right.
Just took one shot and I, fell in love. And I wasn't even really doing it correctly. And I had a blast and did well. And so then being an academic, I just continued. I started to take classes. So I took an entry-level class. And, it was mixed gender. There's 6 men and 6 women. And it really wasn't done in the best light. Every time a woman asked a question, the guys sort of rolled their eyes, and and so women were intimidated, in that platform. It really didn't sit well with me, and I had a malfunction, and a guy came over and he cleared it for me and handed it back to me. And I'm like, no, teach me to do these things. Don't do these things for me.
If it happened once, it'll happen again. How do I do this when
You're not going to be with me, man. So. So I just kept studying. I got a private trainer and had him, I took several classes with him and trainings, and just sort of went as far as I could go. And so I found, through the Well-Armed Woman, Carrie Lightfoot, training. It said, become a certified female fire instructor. I'm like, awesome, let's do that. So I went over to Phoenix, and that's where I met Lori and Susan and some other good friends now, and spent 5 days in the desert and studied and got my certifications and came back just on top of the world because I just felt so great about it. And I thought, I just want to share this with any woman who wants to do this, because it's such a great feeling, that you can take care of yourself. And if you can master shooting the gun, you could pretty much master a lot of things in your life. Not to get upset, but to have the confidence that it gives you. And that's really what it is, that the tool of the gun gives you the confidence in other areas of your life. So I started Armed and Feminine, and it took about 2 months to really catch on. And then our local newspaper did an article on, this women's gun training, because everybody was talking about it on social media who had gone.
Yeah.
They're like, this was so cool, this was so fun, I learned how to do this, and then it just sort of blew up. And
cool.
So this is our 5th season. We only train in the good weather because we're outside. And and we're encroaching on 1,000 students already, which is remarkable. We've had people come from out of state. I've had them as far as Kansas City,
Holy moly.
Indianapolis,
Awesome.
I know, West Virginia, Ohio, all over the state of Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. And they come because it's an all-female environment. They just feel comfortable in that environment. And having the female brain, I can teach the way the female brain receives things.
Yeah.
And not that there aren't good male teachers, because absolutely not. I've had many of them, and they're awesome, really great. But a lot of women just really relate better in that all-female environment. So that's really the attraction. So we do everything from beginner to advanced, concealed carry, home defense, and I have other certifications through USCCA and ICE training, the PINKAS system.
Yep.
So I sort of mix and match a whole lot of those to meet the demand of whatever people want. And
what do you need to get a license in Pennsylvania?
You need $20 and a clean record.
$20 and a clean record.
It's almost too easy. I ask that question to my students, and I'll say, how many of you have your permit? And they raise their hand, and I'll say, how hard was the test, or how many questions did you miss? And they give me this look, and I'm like, did they give you a catalog of all the laws you need to learn? And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. I said, exactly, it's too easy. Pennsylvania is a shall issue state.
Yep.
And there is 0 training requirement whatsoever to get your concealed carry license. So if you've got a clear background and $20, it's yours. Yeah. A little bit scary, because I've talked to some women, and they're like, I'll say, do you want to come out for some classes? They're like, oh no, I have my permit. Well, having your permit does not mean you know how to safely handle a firearm.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to get that false sort of confidence that, I got a permit, I know how to shoot a gun.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you don't.
Right. So. Having a permit does not mean, having a driver's license doesn't mean you know how to drive a car.
Yeah, exactly. And some people have to give those up. Just
right.
saying.
You can still have a license and break the laws.
Right. So, well, there you go. Breaking the law. How many people drive without a valid driver's license. Same thing with guns. Like, you can put all of that gun control in, but people who aren't allowed to have them will still get them.
Right.
People will drive without driver's licenses who aren't allowed. I see it on cops all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Cops.
People ask me about, maybe carrying in a place that I shouldn't carry, or possession of something that you're not supposed to have, especially in Massachusetts. And I say, listen, I'm like everybody else. I do 85 on the turnpike.
Mm-hmm.
It's speed limit 65. I do 80, 85 just like everybody else. So we all break the laws, but that's one of the things that, driving is one of those laws that we're like, okay, well, I'll break the laws. Even if I get caught, I get a ticket, I pay the ticket, I keep doing 80.
Well, you also need to maintain a flow of traffic. That could actually be a public hazard. If all the traffic is going 80 and you're doing 65, you're causing the problem.
Yeah,
so,
that could be a problem.
I hate to say peer pressure, but, you've got to maintain the flow of traffic to ensure safety. So some of that in terms of firearm laws, like, I'm not going to break the law. If it's not legal to carry somewhere, I'm not breaking that law. If there's a policy somewhere and it's not the law, think twice about that.
Now mum's the word.
Think twice about that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just the policy, not the law.
In Pennsylvania, do the no gun signs have the force of law?
They do not.
They do not.
They do not.
There we
They
go.
do not have force of law. So
I went to Springfield, Massachusetts, which is not a great area. I went a few years ago with my son to go see a Christian rapper he wanted to go see.
that's almost an oxymoron.
It is. But he likes rap music. My son's goes to church every week, so he's a good boy. No, a good man that he's 18, but I still call him the boy.
Right.
So we went to go see this Christian rapper. The sign said we couldn't carry.
Right.
No knives or guns or weapons or whatever. So I still carried, and we walked in, I gave him his ticket. I said, here's your ticket. I'm going to hang on to my ticket. If they have a metal detector, you wait for me past the metal detector. I got to go back to the car.
That happened to me.
Did it?
It happened to me at the theater. My daughter and I went to see a musical, and I have gone to this theater, I can't tell you, hundreds of times.
Right.
Went down, and they had the metal detectors. And so before I went in, I actually asked the guy, I said, I'm a legal concealed carry holder.
Right.
Can I come in with my firearm? And of course, I used the word firearm, and their hired staff, he's like, load it up. I'm like, oh God. And he's like, wait a minute. He gets the supervisor. The supervisor comes over. So I say the same thing. I'm a legal concealed carry holder. Like, can I come in here with my gun?
Right.
I didn't say I've done it hundreds of times before. He's like, no, you gotta get out of here. And he like grabs me and he ushers me out in like super fast speed. And I'm like, seriously? You're like making a scene in front of all of these women. Like,
Right.
it's a ladies' musical.
These ladies are going to freak out.
I know, it's
oh
awful.
My gosh.
And so I sent my daughter in, and that's what I did. I went the whole way back down to the parking garage, hoofed it. There was like 15 minutes until the show started. And I always have a safe. I always have a safe that's latched.
Right.
I have the steel cable to the frame of the seat.
Yep.
So I put it in the safe, locked the car up, ran the whole way back down, ready for the opening act, like sweat on my eye. I'm like, she's like, they made such a big deal. He didn't have to make a huge deal about it. He could have just very easily said, no, ma'am, we'd like you to return to your car and place that. No,
Right.
It was like grabbing my arm and rushing me out. I'm like, jerk.
I went with one of my girlfriends and her kids and my kids to a concert right on the harbor in Boston a couple years ago. We need to do one or two things. Put this up here. Hopefully this doesn't get in the way, because I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can avoid.
Hold it.
Nah.
I can hold it.
Okay, that might be a good idea.
We're safe. We're
All right.
safe.
Everything's fine.
It's radio, so it's a radio signal. It'll find it anywhere in the vehicle, just so you know.
All right. Maybe we can pull off and swing around. Anyway, so we went to this concert. They had the signs. They were wanding everybody. So I had a gun on my ankle. I had a knife in each of the front pockets, and I had some spare strips of speed strips of 38s.
A little paranoid.
What are you talking about? Just a little. So they're wanding everybody, and I told her, and we're 3/4 of a mile maybe from the car, and I said, all right, if they're wanding everybody, I'm gonna have to go back to the car. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, what do you think it means? So they get up there.
Just tell everybody.
Right,
Hello.
they wand me. They're like, oh, do you have something in your keys? So I take out my keys. They wand me again. Like, do you have something else? I take out my coins. They wand me a third time. I took out one of my knives. They wanded the other pocket. They took out the other knife, and I left the ammo in there.
Yeah.
And so they wanded it one more time. And they're like, all right, what else do you have in your pocket? I said, I've got a license to carry, and I have a license to carry, and I'm carrying a firearm on me. And they called over one of the Boston cops, and he's like, all right, what's going on? I'm like, I've got a license to carry, and I'm currently doing so. He's like, are you a cop? And I'm like, what's the right answer?
Yeah. Not today.
Right,
Not
I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble for impersonating a police officer.
Right.
So I said, I'm not. I just have a concealed carry permit. And I had to walk back to the car to put all my crap away.
Well, at least you didn't take your stuff.
Oh, man. Yeah, they were going to hang on to, like, the first knife I took out, they were going to hang on to. Like, yeah, that
Well,
sucks.
is it a law that you can't go to public places like that?
No, it's the signs don't have the force of law, but if they're wanding you, then it's the trespassing issue.
Oh, right. Well, it's only trespassing if they ask you to leave and you don't, I thought.
I don't know. I assume if they're wanding me and they find out I have something.
They have to ask you to leave.
Right.
Or remove your
Or
stuff.
remove
And then
your
if
stuff.
you choose not to,
Then you're
they
trespassing.
can,
Right.
they can charge you with the trespass. So that's the only piece of that. And that's the same thing like in PA. Like even though that sign doesn't have the force of law,
Right.
if they find you and ask you to leave and you choose not to. Right. Right. So
Yeah, I don't want to make a big stink. You know?
and no, we shouldn't, because we're holding ourselves out to be responsible citizens, and
Right.
we don't want to be the
be
ones getting the
responsible
press for being a jerk. So yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna throw up our safety in the name of the law or other safety. I don't feel comfortable that man has a gun.
Right. I don't feel comfortable that he. I don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable at all with this guy. I feel
Right.
comfortable with a gun.
Right, safety doesn't end at state lines. That's another thing. Like we talked to our congressman about a lot. That was on our agenda last year when we were here in DC.
Yeah.
For nearly all of them was the national reciprocity, because it was on the agenda for such a long time,
my
and it was
gosh.
so close, and it just sort of got kiboshed, and we were all sort of pushing that. I was like, why is my life not worth the same thing in Maryland or in DC as it is in Pennsylvania? Like,
Right.
it shouldn't be. Like, if I was legal to pass there, why shouldn't I be here? And I do understand that some of them have other requirements, like training.
Right.
Like Illinois, they have 16 hours of training, however many years, and we don't. I get that, but I still passed the background check at a minimum. That said I wasn't a criminal and I was allowed to possess a gun. So
Right, you should be
my
good to
life
go.
is worth far less in DC and Maryland than it is in my home state. I don't get it.
My issue with national reciprocity, I think it's a great idea. It certainly cuts into my income. I'm sure it cuts into yours. I do Utah classes and stuff. But my concern with national reciprocity is the government's going to come out and say, hey, this is what the requirements are in order to get a permit.
Nationally.
Yes, like the federal government. This is what we want. And I see states like Massachusetts, California, Connecticut, Jersey, New York saying that's not enough. And then I see the free states that are like, that's way too much.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a big concern. And that's national reciprocity sounds great, but if the government's going to say these are what the requirements are,
Well, right now that rests at the level of state government. So I can't imagine that the feds would have, I don't know, right? It rests at the state level.
Yeah, it does.
How they issue those permits. So I'm not so sure how the feds overstep that ruling to say this is what it's going to be. I don't know. I mean, unless they could just say, I don't know. Not a lawyer. Don't hear.
Don't play one on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be one. I'll have to ask Christy about that. Or Laura. Laura Smith, help me. She's a constitutional lawyer, part of our team. We love her.
Cool.
So,
I had a friend, I put something up about national reciprocity, and one of my, not anti-gun friends, but one of my Democrat friends said that, hey, it should be states' rights. And I'm like, well, the states need to find something to agree on. He's like, well, if it becomes a federal thing, what does the federal law say? I said, well, the federal law says this: the right shall not be infringed.
correct.
A course is infringement. A license is infringement. Safety requirements are infringements.
Right.
Permits are infringements. They're like everything that you're hoping for is an infringement, and we're talking about not infringing. So,
Right.
come
Well,
on.
so many will argue that the Second Amendment does not cover the right to carry. That argument is out
It's
there.
the bear.
If you look at the definition of the word bear, it means to carry on your.
It means to have with you.
Right. And apparently, those who were defending that definition didn't make the correct argument, or it probably could have been interpreted. But I think that's my understanding is the bigger interpretation is the right to bear arms doesn't mean the right to actually carry the firearm. At least that was the original interpretation. Could be wrong once again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fighting, sinus infection, congested head. So, clouded.
Yeah, that's a little nuts. Of course, like, have one. Why can't you? You can only have it at home?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. You're not always at home.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Right.
you have the right
My
to
husband always
self-defense.
asks this question too, you know, and all this anti-gun, we're taking your guns, blah, blah, blah. And he always asks me, what are you going to do if they show up at our house, knocking on the door, asking for our guns? And I always said, I'm not answering the door. And he's like, really? You're not going to answer the door if, like, you know, law
Right.
enforcement's at the door to come? And I said, well, then they come in, and now I have...
It's a home invasion.
yeah, I said, now they came in and I have, oh gosh, here goes my clouded head, you know,
Castle Doctrine.
Castle Doctrine. I said, now I got the Castle Doctrine on my side. And I for sure as heck ain't opening my big fat Liberty safe for them. So
Right.
let them try to pull that out on their back. It's not going to happen. It'll fall through the damn floor before anybody gets it out. So, when he's like, really? That's true? I said, I'm telling you, I'm not answering the door. And if they come through the door, I can't promise what might happen. I don't know. I'm not giving up my stuff. I'm just not going.
There's no having the background checks, having the process, the background checks and everything. You're going after somebody who's not a criminal.
Correct. Yeah. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. They don't get it. You know, I have a great relationship with my local representative, and he always runs things like whatever's on the agenda. You know, whatever bills are coming up, he is always quick to ask people in our community who are in the know in that area what they think about it, because he knows his job is to vote the way his constituents want him to vote. Okay?
Right.
That's always been my big beef with politicians is everyone says, what's your opinion on blah blah, or what's your
It
platform
shouldn't
on...
be their opinion.
I don't care what your platform is. You're there to represent your constituents. You should vote how your constituents want you to vote. It's not about what you think.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's very, very good about that.
That's cool.
So, you know, if there's something in agriculture, he goes and asks the farmers. You know, if there's something about guns, he asks me my opinion, which I am so grateful for. And I'll give him one, and I'll just point out highlights and lowlights or arguments of such.
Mm-hmm.
And he just did that the other day and sent me some things. He's like, what do you think about these things? And I say, first of all, we know that no gun law prevents violence. We know that, flat out. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the rest of it. And, you know, one of them was about increasing penalties for people who try to obtain a firearm who aren't allowed to have one. Oh, yeah, sure. I'm okay with that. Or not letting people buy ammo. I'm like, they're allowed to buy it now. Like, what is that process? But anyway, I said, you do know. There was another one about safe storage. I hate the safe storage law, which is stupid. But I said, number one, you cannot legislate common sense. Number two, you cannot legislate good parenting. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put all those laws into place, but you're never going to legislate common sense and good parenting. So just knock it off.
Yeah.
You know, purchasing power, they're going to the black market or they're stealing them anyway.
Yep.
Gun control does not work. It does not work to prevent any kind of violence. And that's the other thing I said. I'm like, why is gun violence any worse than any other kind of violence? It's not worse than hammer violence, knife violence, fists,
car violence.
cars.
So
yeah,
I've got a
it's no
rental.
worse.
I've got a rental car. Check this out. I have a switchblade key. You push this button and it
I know.
automatically pops out.
I know. I've had friends
Woof.
with that. Whew.
They give me this
Got-
dangerous tool and then they give me a car.
Regulate that tool. There you go.
Oh.
So, you know, it's just our society in general anymore, you know, has just become more violent. And I'm not sure why. And Amanda and I had this conversation. I've had it with a lot of people. I think technology has just ruined so much of our world in that, you know, I don't have to have a relationship with you anymore. I don't have to actually talk to you like we're talking now. I just bing, bing, bing. I bing you. Right? You get a notification. I send you an email. I send you a text. I don't have to get to know you. I just bing you. And so that whole personal thing has gone away.
Yeah.
And so people lose these interactions and, you know, the whole personalized relationship thing. So everything's disposable. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole erosion has just created this, I don't know, like this blank facade of, I don't like it, I can be violent. You know, people don't actually feel like, how am I going to feel? Because they don't feel anymore, because they don't have all of these relationships. And it's the whole violent piece that's just, we have to address that, you know, violence in general, not just gun violence. It's no worse than any other kind of violence, in my humble opinion. For the record.
Just
right?
for the record.
Yeah, for the record.
Other than that, she has no strong feelings.
None. I got lots of soapboxes. Lots of soapboxes. How much time do we have? 3 days? Good. We'll have to stop the pee a few times. That's about it.
No. I got a bottle right here.
Yeah. I think I can hit that hole. Oh, that's the new cap challenge. That's the new cap challenge. Perfect. Indeed.
Oh, that's a riot.
Indeed.
All right, well, we got a few minutes left. Let's hear a... I'm going to ask you this. If you were going to talk to someone that was a non-gun person, or someone that was neutral, how would you convince them that it's a good idea for them to at least learn about it and be receptive to learning about gun safety, or how to check a firearm to see if it's loaded?
Well, first I would just take them to the range. Like, you take anybody to the range, like, come on, take a ride, like you. I'm like, come on, take a ride with me. Just head on after the range. And really just that hands-on, when you show them how easy it is, when you teach them just even 3 simple firearm rules, and I show them that you only really need 1 rule of gun safety to stay safe. We want you to do 3 or 4 of them, yes, but only 1 keeps you safe. They're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, only 1 will keep you safe. We want you to do all of them. And they're like, whoa, that's amazing. But actually, that's one of the first things that I do with people, is teach them how to check and clear a gun. I give them a dummy gun, and I tell them, hello, somebody crossing. I tell them to make a gun like this, make a gun, and take a gun. And so that gets their finger along the frame right away to index, and then I have them just hold it straight down, and I get it into that place. Yeah. So that it never, because the first thing it wants to do is go right to the trigger, of course. I say guns were ergonomics before ergonomics was cool. There you go. Yeah, it goes right in. Because your finger just says, well, I want to play along too. It's actually physiological. if this one makes a fist, this one wants to play along. So it does take some practice for that. But if you tell them to make a gun, take a gun, they will get it. Make a gun, take a gun. I like that. Make a gun, take a gun, yeah. And then I just tell them, take your thumb on this little button here, push it up. You feel it pushing? Yeah. Press that up. I said pressure going up. And we yank it back, and it locks. And they're like, oh, that was easy. So now if something flew out, of course, keep it pointed in a safe direction. Right. And I said, then we can always look inside visually and physically. We stick our pinky in it to make sure that it's empty. And then they get it. You know, they don't actually get it until they're some hands-on. Right, some hands-on. And of course, women are very hands-on. They're visual learners. They need to touch things. They need to hear it. They need to see it. They need to feel it, you know. And once they do, we're sort of golden. We're like, wow, that wasn't so bad. Or I'm so scared. And then, you know, you have those ones who are scared to death, and I oil them up with happy oil and calming oil. And by, 20 minutes in, they're like, give me the big guns. Let's go, baby. It's awesome. Yeah, and even some male instructors that I have, they've been amazed since day one that, like, geez, in 10 minutes, these women are so on point and are so comfortable with it. I'm like, yeah, you just... like, who said yuck to broccoli until they tried it the first time, then spit it out? But at least you tried it. Your mother made you try the broccoli. She made you try all these things before you spit it out. Right. So, you didn't even know thank you bite. Exactly. Like, it looks pretty nasty. I remember going to Japan many years ago when my friends were there. And I said, please, don't tell me what anything is until I try it. Okay? Because you didn't want that mental image. Right. And so when we talk about guns, sort of the same thing, this image, the images that are put out, through media and bad things, we never hear the good things. They're getting this mental image of the bad taste of broccoli or something before they even try it. And it's, I hate to use the word fair, but it's sort of unfair. So, whatever. Very cool. Very cool. All right, we are almost where we need to be. We're going to drop you off so you can continue your DC extravaganza. Yes. How can people find all of your Armed and Feminine? Gosh, all of the forums. I really just started getting into Instagram a few months ago. So we're on Instagram, Armed and Feminine. You'll see my photo there. We have a pretty lively Facebook page, Armed and Feminine LLC. Yeah. We've got about 7,000 followers on it, and it's pretty active as well. We have a Twitter account, and armedandfeminine.com. It's our website. So we're sort of everywhere.
YouTube channel?
And our YouTube channel, of course.
Very
Same
cool.
thing, Armed and Feminine. See how that like branding thing happens?
Works on everything.
Right.
This is true. All right.
Awesome.
Are we at this road or the next road?
It's
I don't
not
know.
this
We're on a
road.
little island and we're lost.
That's the parking garage, so we gotta
There's the
kind of go
garage.
left.
All right. Well, then
The
we'll
other,
have to...
your other left. Charlie.
This is what I've been instituting for 3.5 or 4.5 years. It's your left, your real left.
Your other left. That's
No,
what
no,
I
no,
was
other left, because inevitably someone will say, oh, no, I'll get that too. Someone will say, I only have one left. And I said, well, when I say your left, you use your right hand. I say your other left, that's the one that I'm talking about. Now, some rocket surgeon will say, if you take your left hand and you stick out your pointer finger and your thumb, you make an L. And I say
way,
this,
right?
if you take your left hand, it's your left hand. Shouldn't have to tell you twice.
It happens. Well, thanks for the ride, man.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. Check out Armed and Feminine on all of all the stuff that she listed. We're going to put some links below it.
Yeah.
Check out the Riding Shotgun on YouTube. Share it and post it and share it with all your people. Riding Shotgun on YouTube, on Facebook, on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to check out.
That's a lot.
I know, right? It tickles
Holy
my ADD.
moly. I have an oil for that too. I have an oil for everything.
Check out the Self-Defense Radio Network, SDRN.US, all of your Pro Freedom podcasts at one place. Kelly, thank you for being on the
Thanks,
show.
Charlie.
This was great. I'm
It
glad
was
we finally got to
fun.
meet.
Good.
Now, I'm going to put a link to this because I saw you make some video where you were trying to play the trumpet and trying to shoot at the same time, and then you ended up shooting the trumpet. Is this is what the video looks like?
Yeah, a little bit. And actually, that trumpet belongs to my brother-in-law when he was in the 4th grade, and so now he's 58 years old. So he wanted it back in pristine condition.
He didn't give it to you in pristine condition. It sounds to me like there's something stuck in the trumpet when you ladies play it.
I actually played a whole lot more than the video allowed, and so that was just a warm-up.
Just
It was
get warmed up.
a
You gotta warm up.
My dog didn't like it so much.
I love when the dog pops his head in the front.
She can listen to gunfire. We've had her out on the range since she was a puppy, so she would get used to what gunfire sounded like and not be afraid of it. And she's not at all afraid of gunfire. Blow the trumpet, hates it, runs away. Wonderful. Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
too funny.
Awesome.
All right, well, listen, we will check you guys out next time. Thank you so much.
There you go.
All right.